Howdy, welcome back. I'm the Strategy Professor, and today we're going to be starting a brand new campaign with Queek of the Skaven. So if you enjoy the content, please be sure to like and subscribe. Really helps out a ton on the channel. Check out the rest of the content as well. We have dozens and dozens of campaigns over the years, and some of the most recent ones that I've done have been the Tamercon, the reworked Karl Franz, and the Chaos Dwarves. So be sure to check that out. And special thanks to Konstantin for sponsoring this campaign. If you'd like to sponsor a campaign yourself, just email me at thestrategyprofessor, all one word, at gmail.com. Let me know what you're interested in. It's just $3 an episode, minimum 10 episodes. But please do email me first before you donate, just so I can check my schedule and make sure I can get it out to you in a timely fashion. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get in here. Now, Skaven is one of my favorite races of all time. It certainly was out of Warhammer, the Warhammer 2 era. It was my favorite. There's some pretty good stuff in Warhammer 3 that I like as well, but Skaven is still one of my favorites. And one of the things that I really like about Skaven is it's so diverse. So it's a different experience almost every time you play it, because each one of these different lords specializes in different units, and many of them even have different resource styles. So you've got Clan Scryer has the Forbidden Workshop, which allows you to upgrade a lot of your weapons team units. Snitch has all of these kind of dark dealings or shadowy dealings, whatever, that allow you to do different things on the campaign map and buff things up, which is really handy. Throt allows you to specialize in monster units, upgrade all of them, and do this monster lab thing that's pretty fun. So these are kind of the newer age, reworked, and they each have their own sort of resource system and mechanics that are pretty cool. And I'll be honest with you, my favorites that I've done in recent times have been Icket Claw and Throt, but Queek is OG. He is one of my favorites, and a lot of him has been reworked, so he doesn't have a specialized system, but in some ways it's possible that he could be the strongest with some of these things that we're going to get in here. So power-wise, he's definitely not weaker, I don't believe, than the other ones. You just have to make a few less decisions with balancing resources, which might be your thing if you don't want to spend as much time messing with all the extra resources and stuff. Could be good. He does have a special mechanic, though, where he tries to retake Carrick 8 Peaks, which we'll talk about when we get in there. So that is pretty fun. It gives you kind of an early game objective that can help you power up a little bit. That's pretty cool. So lots of cool stuff about Queek, but all of the Skaven are cool if you want to check out any of the other ones. And I'll probably do another Skaven campaign at some point. This year. So if you like Skaven, we'll probably revisit him again. Okay, so faction effects. He gets extra capacity for chieftains. These are a lot better. I can't remember when they patched it, but most of the units that give the extra experience bonus got like massively better, because experience used to be like 10, 15, or 25 flat experience, which is horrible. It was one of the worst skills in the game. But now it can go all the way up to 55% more experience. And that's really powerful, especially for lords and heroes, but even for units, a lot of them get extra stat bonuses as they level up with the chevrons, and it unlocks, once you get to 7+, some of those special bonuses in the red tree. So that's really good, and they're pretty capable fighters, too. So that's a nice bonus. 25% upkeep reduction for all storm vermin and clan rats, faction-wide, not just Queek. There aren't many lords that give this kind of bonus faction-wide. It's usually just to the lords, so this is tremendous. And it really allows you to go wide if you want to, which is what I would probably recommend with Queek. So get a whole bunch of lords and just stack them full of clan rats and put a few carry units in there, and you can really just start taking over the map very quickly, hopefully. That's what's going to happen. So that's incredibly powerful, especially in Warhammer 3 on Legendary, where the upkeep reduction has been reduced to 4% extra per army, or upkeep addition, I should say. It's 4% extra per army instead of 15% that it was in Warhammer 2. So going wide is a much more viable strategy than it used to be. You don't just have to do doom stacks anymore, which really fits the Skaven lore and playstyle, is to kind of go wide. You can purchase up to 5 additional levels of Menace of Below. We'll talk about that when we get in there. It's basically you get to summon up some temporary clan rats. I think they last for like a minute or so. So not massively game breaking, but very, very useful. Great for taking out artillery, or pinning down some annoying archers, or stuffing charges from some cavalry that could be problematic. So there's a lot of uses for Menace from Below, and usually it costs a pretty good chunk of food if you want to summon those up. but now you can summon even more, and it's 33% less. So again, this can let you get away with going for a cheaper army style where you're not doom stacking, you're going wide with a lot of clan rats, getting that additional support from Menace from Below if you get into trouble a little bit, can be handy. Then his Lord effects, minus 20 leadership on Lords and Heroes. Now this is just for him in a local region, but that's incredibly powerful. Lords do start with quite a bit of leadership, but minus 20 is a lot. So you're going to be able to break Lords and Heroes a lot faster. And because that's going to stack if you have terror or fear or just anything else that drops leadership. This is unique, so that's going to stack with all of those other things, and you can potentially get some really high, like minus 50, plus on the leadership penalties for enemy lords. And then he deals his entire army deals extra damage against greenskins and dwarfs, and then he gets 2 free extra Menace from Below. In a battle. Usually if you're in a really corrupted Skaven place, it used to be 5 by default. So this is a pretty good bonus. Okay, let's go ahead and get in here. Let's make sure we've got all the campaign settings. Legendary, very hard, and if you haven't played since the newest patch, make sure that you pick Iron Man mode if that's what you want. This used to be the default mode for Legendary, but they've turned it into its own separate thing, so you can do Legendary without Iron Man. So that makes it a lot easier, I think. Iron Man basically means you can't ever go back. Whenever you fight a battle or you end a turn, that's it. You can only go to that save. You can't go to previous saves. So you can't, save scum and try really risky stuff and then undo it. You have to live with your decisions, which I really like that. Okay. Alright, let's go. Another really nice thing about Queek 2 is that he starts off in a province that can get 3 stacks, that has 3 towns, and that's somewhat rare. I think the Shadowy Dealings guy, Snitch, starts in a town that can get 4 stacks. He's in a little more dangerous territory, but he has a place that has 4 towns. Why is this important? Because of growth. You can grow, because Skaven have a lot of really good growth buildings, and you can grow and get to your high tier units, and they actually have quite a good diversity of units at tier 3, 4, and 5. They have useful units throughout the entire game, which is pretty rare. Most of the time, there's some factions where it's like their tier 5 is like okay, but not entirely necessary. Skaven can grow really fast though. So when you have some of those factions like Clan Boulder or like Clan Scryer, who again are historically my favorites. Now I haven't tried Queek in a while. Queek might become my favorite after this campaign. But a major problem with them is that you start off with in just this single stack town. And usually it has a building that's like a bonus. It's pretty cool. And I think they both have like really cool tier 4 or tier 5 buildings. But it's only one town. So you can only get one growth building in that town, which is really annoying. So it's cool that you can get like 10 buildings in the town, because Skaven do have a lot of buildings you want to be able to build. So that's nice. But getting up to those higher levels, especially tier 4 and tier 5, can be really difficult without enough growth to get up there. So, anyways, and public order can kind of become a problem too. So they've reworked a lot of the Skaven, and frankly, I think they've nerfed it pretty hard over time. They've rebalanced some of it, and it has been a while. I think I played an Eshin campaign last year with Snitch. But you have a food system here. And this is basically the same. I think it's the same bonuses. So that's good. Where basically, if you're just even on food, you get a little bit of growth, but you have to pay more for construction costs. If you have a surplus of food, then you get extra growth, control, and leadership in your territory. Leadership is very powerful on Skaven too, because their units are really cheap and they have low leadership value typically. Clan rats at least. So extra leadership is particularly nice. And then you just get even more bonuses when it's plentiful. And then if you get in the penalty, then you start getting big time problems. You never want to be in red. That's huge problems. So you want to always be in green. And you get your food most of the time just by winning battles and sacking and taking towns and just doing aggressive stuff. And you spend food. I believe each army is 1 food. I think it doesn't matter how many units or heroes or whatever is in the army. It always consumes 1 food. And I believe each town also consumes a food. It's not telling me here, but that's how the system used to work. Now, all of the Skaven are going to start with a specialized building. So, your Clan Moors is a tier 1 building. You get 300 income. You can hire chieftains immediately, which is great. You get extra food, growth, and armies in the region. Its recruitment cost is way cheaper for Clan Rats and Skaven. And that's what Queek specializes in, is basically your hardline infantry units. Which aren't going to be your carry units. They're not going to do as much damage as your monsters or your weapons teams or whatever. But it's nice to just have a good backbone of units you can hire. Now, you can get slaves and slingers and all this kind of stuff just off your baseline building. And I love that change they did a while ago that allows that. But notice, just as we're looking at this, your food capacity goes up by 5 with the town. But you don't get any extra food automatically with the town. So that means that, and your food system is a percentage-based system. So this is actually kind of bad if you don't have really good food income, because the same amount of food, right, if you have 50 flat food as a surplus, and you've got 100 food capacity, then you're going to be at 50%. But if you have 200 food capacity, and you have 50 flat food, now you're only at 25%. Which is going to put you in that red zone that you really don't want. So, it's kind of a blessing and a curse. It does allow you to stockpile a lot more, though, so you can spend food on things like your Menace from Below and leveling up towns and things like that. Okay, so as far as Skaven buildings, we don't have them all here because this is a minor town. We'll have to take Carrick Osgul in a little bit, but I can just show you just a bit of what we have here. The buildings are very cheap at early tiers, and all of them give you food, or all of them give you gold, rather. You don't have a specific gold building that'll give you like 200 gold, but all of your other buildings give you a little bit, and they're very cheap. So for their price, it's a very, very good bargain. So you've got your growth building, gives you 80 income. It only costs 275, so it pays for itself in like 3 turns and some change. So that's really nice. You get 20 growth off of it, 2% replenishment, and you get a Skaven corruption. Now, they changed the corruption balancing system quite a bit. There's nothing that helps you clean up corruption anymore. I believe the rubbish pit used to give you clean or whatever, like non-corruption. But now you don't really have that option anymore. Why is that important? Well, Skaven corruption, unlike most corruption in the game, there's trade-offs. So if you can keep your area clean somehow, then you can get an extra 3 food generated per turn. You can probably get more than that if you keep it even cleaner. And you gain extra public order. But each time you put down a Skaven building, then you're going to get corruption. And when you get more corrupt areas, then it's actually you're going to lose that control benefit. I don't think you get negative control off of corruption. You didn't used to. But you're at least not going to have the positive. So indirectly, it is hurting your control to do that. And you're losing the food, which is one of your most valuable resources. But you do gain the ability to cast some free Menace from Belows in property that's Skaven Corrupt. Corruption doesn't have any penalties on the enemy armies, so it doesn't cause attrition or anything. But it will give them public order problems if they try to take your property and there's heavy corruption. I don't remember if there's any other perks to the corruption, but it's a lot weaker than contemporary, like chaos corruption type of stuff, where you get all kinds of benefits, like usually, 10 control and all this other stuff. You don't get that with Skaven, so it's kind of bad to be dirty, unless you really need those Menace from Below. But there's really no way around it unless you just don't build buildings in a province, which maybe that's a strategy. You do get 1 corruption anyways for the nest layer. Some resource buildings like iron and things like that, I think, might have a clean component to them. But every single building, I'm pretty sure. I mean, just double check. Corruption. That's like super corruption. The plague chain, which makes sense. Corruption. I really wish this one, you could at least get the splunking holes to fight your corruption, but it says -3 except Skaven corruption, so you can't use that building to lower your Skaven corruption. I think it would be nice if it allowed you to do that, because it doesn't do a lot else for you. You can't build buildings. It's just to help you against other annoying campaign mechanics. So it helps you stop the spread of plagues. It helps you detect ambushing or invisible units. And it helps you fight against other corruption and helps you detect undercities and trickster cults. So it's situational, but it does not help you with the corruption. Or I wish maybe the public order building did it. But basically, you're going to get dirty. Your public order is going to be kind of tricky. But they did lower the cost of the Taskmaster platform, and they increased the income on it. So it's not that bad. It's 1,000 gold. We're having to pay an extra 10% right now because we only have middling food. And we're going to get into a fight in just a second. I just want to lay it out for people that haven't played Skaven in a little bit. But they lowered the cost here to 1,000. So this pays for itself in, like 11 turns or so. So not bad as far as income buildings go. And you get the extra control. So it's not horrible, but you will probably have to buy a control building, maybe. We'll see how it goes, but it's a lot less painful than it used to be. It used to be 1,500. Rubbish Pit, there's really not a great reason to buy this anymore. The main reason to get it was to stay clean, to get that extra stuff, but it's a cheap money building. So if you just want to throw down a cheap money building, you can, but it's the same price as the growth building. This growth building, I believe, used to be 500. So now they're both 275. So, and they both give the same income at 80. So the only real bonus is a recruitment cost reduction, but your units are already very cheap. So you're pretty much just never going to get this, except you have to get one of them to unlock the technology, which we'll talk about that later. But you pretty much always just want a Rattling War in there. Okay, and then as far as these units go, obviously we want to get up here, get to Storm Vermin when we can because we get the discount on it. And this is one of your main kind of frontline units. You don't have to necessarily have an entire front line of Storm Vermin, but they're pretty decent. They're not as good as other factions like high-level infantry, but they're really good for Skaven. They've got 90 armor. They've got like mid-30s melee attack and defense, mid-30s weapon strength, so pretty decent. The halberds are pretty solid, though. So you get plus 17 bonus versus large. I think they were just buffed on this patch, too. It's like patch 5 point something, like 5.33. It's early August when I'm recording this, 2024. Now, halberds have really high armor piercing damage. Obviously, they get the bonus versus large, but armor piercing is a very big deal. And all Skaven, as long as your hit points are greater than 50%, are going to get 8 melee defense. So you're looking at 42 melee defense, and then baseline 32 attack. But then if you're against large, that's going to go up to 49 attack and 49 damage. So that's really, really good for Skaven. It is a little bit expensive at 262 for what it is, because it's not really a carry unit. But having a couple of these could be pretty good. But I would say the nuts and bolts that you want to be going for, these clan rats with spears, I feel like they've been nerfed a little bit over time, although I could be wrong about that. But they're going to have 36 melee defense, which is good. They're going to have the bonus versus large, which is cool. But they're just cheap. They're under 100 gold. You're going to get more discounts on them as well as you go along. And there's a lot of little buffs you can get for them. And we're going to go for a lot of those buffs early on, like 10 extra armor, extra melee attack, all that kind of stuff. So this is going to be your bread and butter infantry that you want to use most of the time, with maybe just a couple of halberds sprinkled in if you can afford them. I believe that clan rats, especially for Queek, are way, way better bargain than the slaves. Now, the slaves are very cheap at 37, but their stats are just abysmal. Like, they're so bad. And you get so many discounts anyways. The perk of these, and we might end up still hiring a bunch of these, is that you don't have to have a building. So if you just need to fill out an army, if you just did a big battle and 3 of your units died and you just need to put something in there and just keep rolling, you can do it just off a baseline building here, versus these clan rats, you have to have a tier 2 building for them. So that's kind of the downside. You can get these, which don't have the shield, so their melee defense is like 5 lower, I think. Yeah, 4 lower. So not a huge deal if you just get the normal clan rats with spears, but the ones with the shield are obviously going to be a little bit better. And then as far as these triads, I think this tree is pretty bad unless you're clan Eshin. You do get assassins, and you get an extra assassin just for a tier 2 building. So that's not bad. That's okay if you just want to get some extra assassins. These do have replenishment, so you probably want one of these in each army, and they can assassinate enemy heroes, assault units, and they're pretty good at dueling, especially if you combine them with other heroes. They're pretty nice. All of these slinger units I think are pretty bad for their price. I'd rather use weapons teams for my range stuff. The Death Runners are okay. Near the top, let me see. Does this give us... We don't get an extra Eshin Sorcerer until the top, and I like the other magic units a little bit more. Death Runners are okay. They do have this Weeping Blade, which reduces armor by 50%, so all of your units are dealing extra damage. That is very nice, but it is a tier 4 building. It's not that expensive gold-wise. It's just there's other stuff that might be better if you're getting up to tier 4. These Eshin Triads are okay. They're sort of weird in that they do bonus versus large, which is pretty good, which is 15. It's not quite as good as the Skaven with halberds, but they just have like no armor. They have 20. They do have physical resist, but there's a lot of magic attacking stuff out there, so that's just not as reliable. I mean, there's a lot of armor piercing stuff too, to be fair, but I just feel like they just don't have quite as much power as the Clan Rats do, or as the Storm Vermin do. But they are a lot cheaper. They are 188, so I don't know. They're okay. Maybe it's worth considering. They also have the Weeping Blade for the 50% shred, so that's pretty good. So I don't know. We might test them out, but this is, in my opinion, one of the weaker trees for Queek, just because you're so heavily incentivized to go for like Storm Vermin and Clan Rats. Weapons teams are still pretty good. These Warp Fire Throwers early on are very solid. That's actually... Is that what I want to get with my first... I think that's probably what I want to get for my first building. These drills are extremely good on sieges because they can knock out walls, and they have a very special spell which doesn't cost any magic that does like 150 damage per second, which is just absurd. AoE only hits enemies, doesn't hit you for 17 seconds. So it just basically wipes any infantry that stands in it, and you can make them stand in it with your other ability. So this is an incredibly powerful spell. If you just kind of sprinkle these into your infantry and use that, it'll just completely tear up a front line. Now, they do have very low HP. They only have 4,000 HP. They have pretty respectable armor. They do a lot of damage, 96, but they have really low melee attack, and there aren't a lot of upgrades to give them more melee attack. With this guy, I believe Clan Scryer can get some pretty big upgrades on him, but they're still really good just for the wall taking alone, but that other stuff is a nice bonus, and they're pretty cheap. And these Warp Fire Throwers are now only tier 2. Take one turn to hire. They've got this burnt thing, which does extra leadership. They're actually kind of fast, so they have 38 weapon speed, and this makes them a lot better, in my opinion, than the Iron Breaker, or whatever they're called, the Iron something or other, the flamethrowers that the dwarves have, because those things are super slow. They're like 26 speed, so it's really hard to get around and flank and fire that warp fire down the flanks of an enemy line. But this, you can definitely do it. Now, you got to be careful, because you can roast your own units pretty badly with these. But the fact they can reposition, they have pretty good armor, so they can trade shots with enemy archers if they let you get in range. And they're only 138 cost. And they're a tier 2 unit. No strings attached, no extra buildings or anything. These are really solid. And especially because the Plague Claw Catapults got really heavily nerfed on Legendary, because the enemy will dodge a lot of catapult type of units now. It's really hard to hit them unless you can tie them down with something like summon up some Clan Rats or something, which we'll probably do that. But these are not nearly as reliable as they used to be, so you need something that's gonna, be able to just blast huge swarms of infantry coming at you, which is probably what we're gonna face a lot with dwarves and greenskins. So these are shorter range, but they are a little bit more reliable too. So you want a little combination of these. The Plague Claw Catapults don't just completely destroy all infantry like they used to. And then these Rattling Guns are pretty good once you get up here. These Poison Wind Globadiers are also pretty good at dealing with clumps of infantry. So the weapons team is probably my favorite carry tree. Most of them are shorter range until you get to tier 4 with the Mortars and the Giselles. Mortars are going to suffer the same kind of problems that the Catapults suffer, but Mortars are probably a little bit better on sieges. But anyways, okay, let's get a fight going. Now, it is a little weird that they made this guy anti-infantry now, the chieftain. I believe he used to be anti-large. No, he's still anti-large. Okay, I don't know what I'm thinking. I'm like, he's holding a freaking halberd. So anti-large, and he does have this sundering weapon, which is pretty good. But, okay, let's get some fights in here. A lot going on with Skaven, obviously. Okay, so we want to go training. And we start with this one, but the main place we want to go for is here and here. Sort of our first objectives. And then we'll talk about Carricate Peaks here in just a second. But let's get some fights. I know 25 minutes is a long time to go through something without a fight. But, okay. So we get 4 minutes from below here. I think that's fine. You could use food, but I would not use your food, especially in the early game, unless you really need to. I think we'll be fine. I think we should be able to win this more than others. Now, I will say Skaven, they're sort of a, I don't really want to say jack of all trades, master of none, but sort of like that, kind of like Empire, where they don't have the strongest of any particular style of play, but they just have a whole bunch of kind of specialized or situational units that you really have to micro, and you have to find like the right matchups. They're very matchup dependent. So you can't just like, you know, doom stack 12 powerful units and just right click, right? You have to actually watch them to get the most out of them. Okay. Clan rats, we'll keep the halberds on the side. And if we can get them in this little choke, that'd be nice for the slingers. And the catapults. Okay, so let's see if we can... Now, Goblin Wolf Archers. Okay, we gotta be a little careful with that. Because they can fire back. Okay, so I think we'll just hang out here for a little bit. This stuff here. Now this Skaven brew, you basically do a lot of extra damage, but you have less armor. So you want to do this like on your charge on the enemy lord if you can get it. Okay, and we'll do... Okay, and then the chieftain is just kind of a fighter. He doesn't have a lot of abilities early on. Now, if we can get these things to charge, but I think they have heavier armor than we do. So I think this is fine. Oh, okay. That feels like they changed it a little bit. Where it's not as high arcing of a shot, but maybe it's because I have such good high ground right now. No, they're not dodging too much yet. Okay, yeah, so they're gonna run. Back it up a little bit here. Okay, so we're gonna see if we can get over here and get in a range and get rid of that. So while they're fighting these clan rats, we're gonna try to fire on them here from the back. Okay, so these are kind of getting to fire on us a little bit. I think that's probably okay. Focus firing us. Alright, we'll back it up a little bit here. Okay, so those are some good hits. Let me back Quee out. I think I meant focus by the Lord. It's fine. I don't think we really need Queek to do a ton here. Okay, so they're gonna get their little wall. And he's taking some hits too, so we'll go ahead and back him up. Are they trying to... Alright, we'll get in here and get a little bit of these guys. It'll stay on there, that's fine. We're good. If we can charge him in the back, that should be good. Okay, I think they're all about to run. Okay, so those catapults are actually doing a lot more than I suspected. They have a much faster shot and a lower arc than what I'm remembering. As far as like mortars and stuff, it's definitely a lower arc, which gives the enemy less time to dodge. Like, it feels like it's a faster projectile than like enemy mortars. So maybe those are more effective than I'm thinking. So that's pretty fast. That might make them less effective in a siege, but I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, so we really don't need Queek. A lot of times you can just tie up enemy lords. Also, another thing to consider, your early enemies, I believe, are probably going to be a lot easier on this campaign. Because you're fighting greenskins, which historically are pretty weak. Did I only get one food for that? Oh my god, are you kidding me? Dude, that's nerfed. What the heck? 345 gold. That is so weird. Is it because I didn't kill them? I mean, they're gonna all get deleted. We gotta go for food. We gotta get into green. 61%. Wow, dude. They better be handing out more food than that, or giving out some dilemmas or something, because that's wild. Okay, so early on, you want to work your way up to Carrick 8 Peaks. Now, I don't remember all the buildings. Oh, it shows you all the buildings that you get here. Okay, so it's like gold, diplomacy with Skaven, -1 corruption, upkeep for sacking and looting settlements, 10%. That's pretty good. Income, -5% upkeep for weapon teams is good. Oh, clan rats, okay. So most kind of mid-tier units. And then a little bit more. I mean, tier 5 is ambitious, especially for a 2-stack province. What's the other one? At tier 3, food, growth, casualty replenishment only in this property, growth faction wide. I mean, that's pretty good. It's not going to like completely break your bank, but also you get a penalty if you don't control Carrick 8 Peaks. You get -2 control. So, not a massive penalty. Not as bad as Belegar's. Belegar the Dwarf is like plus 50% upkeep on everything, I think, if you don't have it. But it's still pretty good. Now, you do have Undercities as well as Skaven, and these have been like turbo nerfed, I believe. We can look here and see. But it comes stock with this, and this didn't used to be the case, but it comes with a tier 5 Underkeep Warren. So whenever you're in that area, your armies gain 50% movement, 30% replenishment for local characters. And I don't know if that's entire armies. That might just be like lords and heroes. 10 leadership when attacking, so that's good. And then an extra 6 menace from below, which is pretty handy. And your discoverability is only 50. So that's pretty good. And then your other option here, and you can pay to switch this over if you want to, but you get lightning strike battles when you're in the area, hero success chance plus 30%. So if you just want to try to whittle it down by, attacking the garrison or whatever with your heroes. And then income from sacking the settlement plus 200%. So you get a little bit of extra money from sacking. Probably not worth. The 10 leadership off of this one and the 6 menace from below could be pretty legit. But that's, if you ever want to put this on another town, it's going to take 15 turns and 6, 10, like 13,000 gold for 10 leadership and 6 menace from below. And you don't get that back. You can't sell this. I think if you take the town, now I could sell it right now. I believe I could sell it back and get 50% of this back. Or like 60%. So I could get a couple thousand gold if I sold it, which might be worth it. Now this one, Rat King, is very good, but this takes 5 turns and it costs food also. A lot of these things cost food when they didn't used to. So that's going to be 25 food, 140 discoverability. If it gets to 100, then they get to burn it. It costs them a little bit of money to do it, but they're going to do it. So that means you also have to buy 2 discover. I don't even think you can. Can you build 2 of the same building? I think you can. So you'd have to get 2 anti-discovery buildings. So this and this would give you 60. But if they have a hero, I think every hero has like 20 discoverability on it. So if they have a hero stashed away anywhere in there, this is not going to work. Now if you do 80 discoverability, so that's 2,000, 3,500, 7,000, 8,000, 13,000. So if you want to do that, 13,000, 5 turns, which is actually pretty fast compared to this one, but you're just like rolling in gold, then it will summon up a Skaven army in the area that will attack them. And the strength of that army depends on these different technologies that you have. So, that's just something to keep in mind. And then you have these, which helps you out with your other discovery buildings. The food building is probably one of the best because you do need a lot of food. So that's probably the best one right there, I would say. It's just no questions asked, 3 extra food. That's good. And you also have the raiding camp if you want to do that. So it's 100 income. It costs 4,000 though, so it's 20 turns to pay for itself. But you gain 10% of the local settlement's income. So if it's, a really rich place, like one of those big, Lothern or Karak or somewhere like that, some super rich place, they're getting 1,000 plus gold per turn. It's just that settlement though, not the entire province. That could be worth it. That's 200 a turn. You get 2 food. I mean, it's pretty good. I guess it's the same price as these, but you're basically losing 1 food for 100 to 200 gold. It does have a lot more discoverability though. So with 80, again, if they have a hero in the area, it's probably going to discover you. Now, the money one used to be good, but I could have sworn it did not cost you food in the past. It was just no strings attached money. But now it's costing you food. And I think 1 food for 200 gold, it's questionable. Maybe. Depends on how much food you have. But that is pretty good, but it's a lot less good than it used to be. And this is the same thing, but it's a percentage of the income. So you can get it up to 50% of the income. But that's going to consume 2 food once you get it to tier 2 or higher. Now, this one, I know a lot of people like this one. I think this is a trap, the purple one. It's going to cost you 3 food per turn and 100 maintenance costs, so that's gold per turn. And you have a 10% chance to get a free Under Empire expanded, you know, somewhere else. So it's like, and it's 6,000 gold. So that's a lot. And if it expands and you want to put another purple one in, that's going to be another 3 food. So you're only breaking even if you get the food place. If you buy like the gold place, it's 5 food for 400 gold. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, it's cool that you have a chance every 10 turns you get 1 extra free Undercity, but it's like, why? What are you gonna do with it? Like, it's random. You can't control where it is. It's not even getting you that much money. Just conquer the place and put up buildings that make money, and you're probably better off. Warpstone Refinery is situational. This one's interesting. It does cost food and maintenance every turn, but you do get an extra Winds of Power reserve in all of your armies, which is good. Plus 1 recruit rank for all of your weapons teams in all provinces. That's very good. Upkeep reduction for Warp Fire Thrower, Warp Lightning, Cannon, and Doom Wheels. So that's pretty good. And research rate. So that's legit. That's giving you something special that you can't get anywhere else. And obviously, if you have a bunch of those, you have like 5 of those, you know, that's pretty good. But it does still come at a sort of steep price. And then you have the Subterranean Strip Mine. So 4,000 gold, you get 100 income. Extra money from tariffs. We're probably not going to have a lot of trade partners. Most people hate Skaven. People that like us are usually evil factions that can't trade very well anyways. Construction cost for building is down. Our buildings are already cheap, though. If you burn something, you get a 300% extra burn, but you don't want to be burning. You want to be taking it over. So, unfortunately, as cool as the Under Empire is, it's probably not worth it most of the time. I mean, we will still put some up when we can, but I don't think you should really go out of your way to try to get a ton of these things. They're like, okay, if you get them. And if you take the town, like when we take this, you lose all of your Under Empire buildings. So it has to be somewhere where you know you're not going to attack. So that means usually you have to send your guy running, you know, for 10 turns to get somewhere that you're not going to attack. Speaking of attack, let's get another attack in here. And all the other episodes are gonna be a lot faster. I just always, if you haven't watched a lot of my campaigns, I just like to explain stuff early on. So if you want to play along, or you just like good explanations for things, then we can do that. I'm gonna go ahead and fight it, just so Queek doesn't get more injured. And when you're doing auto-resolve, Skaven is a faction that typically does not get a favorable auto-resolve because a lot of your power comes from how well you use these units. Auto-resolve, I'm not sure exactly what the formula is, but I think it's some combination of the gold value of your units and the tech of your units. Like, it doesn't take specific matchups into account, like if you have all spears and they have all large units, or how well you use your magic, how well you use your artillery. It just, there's no way it can calculate that stuff. So for Skaven, where most of their power comes from, you know, crafty use of their units, and where most of their units are very cheap, then you're going to be disadvantaged. It also doesn't take account of menace from below. So it doesn't, you know, it doesn't say, oh, you're going to be able to summon 4 clan rats on their archers or whatever. It just doesn't know those things. So that means that especially early on, until you get a lot of replenishment, it may not be worth it to auto-resolve a lot of stuff. You can still go through pretty quickly, though. Alright, that's our, make that a 4 group. Alright, so let's see how well they do here. Okay, yeah, that's a much faster. So they're still dodging a lot of it, but that's pretty accurate. think we got him here. Yeah, we got him. Actually, we need to be firing right here because they're kind of grouping up. Wait till they get close enough where they could start firing, and then we'll... Okay. Let's rotate back over here. Okay, here we go. They're rallying back, which is annoying, but... Nice. Okay, now some of these guys are going to rally back eventually. So we'll wait. Okay, now they're gone, so we'll go ahead and... Alright, we don't need Queek to take any more damage. We got it without him, I think. Okay, yeah, these Blade Claw catapults are pretty legit. What are we... Come on, guys. What are we... Oh, we're scared of these guys? Okay. Guess what? We can come in here and give them a little leadership bonus or something. We're good. These feel like they're sticking around a little bit longer, too. These minutes from below. From what I remember. Let's try to charge these in the back and let's get a little bit of a leadership penalty here. Okay, they should basically be done. These things also cause leadership penalty, -10, so that is very nice. I mean, these are historically some of the best artillery in the game. They were up there, certainly in Warhammer 2. I don't know, there are some that are, you know, a lot more mobile and things like that now. But as far as just like your classic catapult type of, you know, fairly early tier unit, tier 3, they're really, really good. And it looks like they're still legit. They've got just enough arc to be able to like fire over units and not be like super affected by terrain. But yet it's still fast enough where they can't dodge it open field super well. So that a thing with Skaven too is you have to occupy. Or you have to loot and occupy. You can spend... Oh, it's 20 food. Okay, I thought it used to be 30 food. Oh, it costs 80 to go to tier 3, though. Wow. Okay, so it's 20 for tier 1, but 80 for tier 3. Okay. So you really don't want you to get up to tier 3. But your growth is insane, like I said before, so it's not really that high or like that big of a deal. You can expand under Empire... but you're already at war with them, so I would really only want to do this in a place that you can't reasonably occupy. So if you're near like some chaotic wastes or something for some reason, or just some place where it's going to be like -3, maybe some like open ocean island. I don't even remember what their zones are. They're difficult to occupy. Maybe expand under Empire could be a choice, but it's just really hard because you don't control the area. They're going to build their stuff back and still fight you probably unless you get peace with them. So sort of a an odd thing. I guess you could sail around with the rats and just like attack a bunch of ports, potentially. And all of the ports you just place under empires. And just hope they never come running for you across the map. So that could be a thing. I've thought about that with the pirates and the pirate coves. You get even more bonuses, and I think the pirate coves are a little bit better unless they've nerfed those. But, okay. What did we inherit here at Krataman? Okay, so we got this. I really want growth, because we need to get this up to tier 3 ASAP. I do want weapons teams. Let me see the text. So we need... That's growth building. Okay. Alright, I'm actually... Okay, we're going to wait on the weapons team. Well, God, that requires tier 2, though. How much do I care about a tier 3 weapon team? I really want these ASAP. Can we take this? I mean, they don't have any more armies, right? They do. I mean, I can sell it back. So what I'm thinking here is, do I just want this growth building just so I can start techs? Because you can't do any technologies until you get some of these entry-level buildings. Either the Rattling Warren, the Taskmaster Platform, or the Devious Plans. We could probably just leave that alone. Rubbish Pit. I mean, we do get recruitment cost reduction. But this is what you really want over here. You get recruitment capacity. You get income from post-battle loot. Extra recruit rank for clan rats. Replenishment is a big thing. This one's for Skaven slaves, but that's okay. This is a big one. Clan rats are expendable. So that means if they run, it's not going to cause fear. I guess, except for other expendable units, I believe. Okay, so they will still cause each other to run. But the extra 5 melee attack is good, and then Scavenging Ruins, the 10 armor is really nice. And then extra leadership for clan rats. Didn't one of these other ones also give leadership? No, it's charge bonus. Okay. Then take everything. And Menace from Below, 10 leadership on siege is really nice. So this is kind of where you want to be early on. And you can choose if you want to specialize in some of the monster stuff. I think going for the volatile plans, this helps out with a lot with weapons team stuff, which is pretty good. And then you can go from there over into ingenious plans, which is more sort of not weapons teams, but your doom wheels and your catapults and stuff like that, which is pretty nice. And then this is also more of kind of just your vehicles and weapons teams. And a little bit of Storm Vermin, 5 extra armor. So that's where I would recommend. If you want to go, like, in here is pretty decent in the middle here. Getting this for at least 1 extra food per turn can add up. That gives you growth, leadership for everybody, control, loyalty for new recruits can be good. And 10 campaign movement range is good. I think you have to have take everything to get to that, but that's really nice. But then you can't get record effective recipes unless you go all the way through here and get all the way over here. And these are a bunch of units you're probably not going to want to get. So this is specializing in a bunch of your slinger stuff. The movement speed for infantry is good, but that's sort of out of the way. You're going to have to get bonuses for like your slingers, recruits for assassins, hero success chance or cost is okay. And oppressive plans again is kind of cool, gives you some bonuses to Storm Vermin and things like that, but you have to go all the way up to record effective recipes, which this makes you want to get these plague monks, which are not that great unless you're playing the plague guy, Skrulk. So yeah, the tech is kind of outdated at this point, I think, compared to a lot of other technology trees that have been reworked. But it's still okay. But I would probably stick to the top tree. You have to have ingenious plans anyways, even if you want to do plans within plans, which gives you extra replenishment and recruitment, and then ultimate experiments gives you a little bit of extra building income and growth. But their technologies, by and large, they don't have any like really big crazy ones near the end. It's just this early stuff for some of your early game units is pretty legit. So the question is, I think I'm going to be able to hit this next turn, I believe. I could be wrong about that. So I probably don't necessarily need the weapons team, like, immediately. So I think we'll get this. That'll help me get growth, so I can tech this up to tier 3 faster, and I can unlock that technology. And it gives us a little bit of extra replenishment. It's just a lot of good stuff. And sorry, I am battling a little bit of a cold if I kind of snort my nose a little bit here. But yeah, your public order is rough. A lot of times you do have to fight down at least one rebellion early on, and that does end up hurting your growth. But you have enough extra growth to kind of fight through it. Okay. So Queek here. Inspiring Presence is very good for the extra leadership, in addition to its other bonuses. But again, Skaven has pretty low leadership. The ambush success chance is really nice. They really did nerf the hell out of ambush stance. It's minus 15%. You used to just get it at base value. And they nerfed it on maps anyway. So now, like, open field is 50%. Maybe it was always 50. I think forests were 70. But it's been nerfed a lot. So you can ambush on attack as Skaven, but it's incredibly powerful, so they kind of nerfed it quite a bit. So you still need to get Lightning Strike just in case your ambush doesn't go down, because you really don't want to be fighting, you know, like stacks of 40 plus as Skaven. Your units just aren't that great. You really need to outnumber them if possible. Because just like 1-to-1, you know, your units are just going to get blown up by other stuff. But okay, so do I want to go Ancient Cunning early? You can get Dictatorial, which does clean up some provinces a little bit, but I feel like that's a losing battle most of the time. Yeah, I think I kind of want that for the leadership early on, and then we want to go mostly through the blue tree. Okay, training. Yeah, after that you go Ancient Cunning. That'll give you 30% more ambush. That'll get you back up to like 65%. And then he does have some other bonuses as well. You get Draft Master, which is okay. I wish it was the replenishment one instead, like the 30% replenishment that a lot of lords get. That's all right. You do get Lightning Strike. Quartermaster has been nerfed. Used to be 15%, now it's 9%, but that's okay. This is really good. 30% post-battle loot and 15% chance of stealing a magical item. I don't know if that post-battle loot includes food or not, but that's obviously good. And they are really stingy with this food too. We just won like 2 battles. We got 5 food. So that's there better be some more food out there somewhere. Upkeep minus 8%. So that, you know, the end of the blue tree is always great. And then his special stuff, it's -1 loyalty for new recruits, and then hero self-defense chance. So if someone tries to injure you, someone tries to do hero actions on you, how likely are they to get wounded? Get 8 leadership for your army, which is nice. Then he gets frenzy. He doesn't have a mount or anything, so I'll be honest, he is probably one of the weaker lords. Like, he's an okay duelist, he just doesn't have a lot of HP. Like, he's only got 4,200, and there's not any, like, healing magic or anything. And then this gives you +2 loyalty for warlords and -2 for Grayseers, so you really don't want to hire Grayseers, probably. But I might hire the Warlock guys instead, just because it's going to be hard to get to a lot of magic. You have to get a tier 4 building to get more mages. So we'll see how many of those we can get, but you're just kind of wasting your magic if you don't have any lords that can use magic. And the only one other than Grayseers, it's not called a Warplock Engineer, but whatever it is, the Tinker weapons team guy also has armor. He's pretty good at fighting in combat, but he comes stock with Warp Lightning. which is kind of, you know, it's not an amazing spell, but it's pretty good. It's better than nothing. um, and he has some pretty good mounts and different bonuses he can give out. So I'll probably go for those. The Warlord is okay. He does give some bonuses out there for Skaven slaves and clan rats and things like that. And he does have some mounts that are okay, but we'll see how it goes. But that's kind of my initial thoughts, is depending on how much magic I can get, I'll probably still use some of those Warplock dudes. Okay, and then life is very cheap. Replenishment, minus 10% upkeep for clan rats, faction-wide, which is amazing. And then 10 armor for clan rats and slaves in your own army. And then plus 4 recruitment rank for them, which is nice. And then Crimson Guard, 4 rank for Storm Vermin, and minus 1 globally for Storm Rats. For some reason, Storm Rats take 2 turns to hire for units that are a lot weaker than most other Tier 3 infantry. I believe Great Swords are 1 turn. They might be 2, but I'm pretty sure they're 1. And they're way, way better than Storm Vermin. At least against other infantry. Storm Vermin do have a halberd version, obviously, but anyways, it is what it is. And I'm pretty sure they're cheaper. They're like $225 per. But it is what it is. That's a nice bonus. That gets it down to 1 turn, which is probably what it should be anyways. But I digress. Violent Rise to Power gives you extra control everywhere. Ambush success chance plus an additional 25%. So now you're looking at 85% if you get Ancient Cunning with that. So that's actually pretty good. That's getting to be reliable. And then hero action success chance and enemy action success chance. So heroes just cannot do a lot to Queek, which is nice. Okay. So we're going to do that. I know we're basically at time here, which sucks, but it is what it is. I'm going to do the spear variant. I just like having the extra defense. You do a little bit less weapon damage too, but I just think you just hold the line, and then the Storm Vermin or your weapons teams or something else will probably be able to clean up the rest of it. But, okay. So that's what we're doing. We will leave this for now. We're not going to repair it, so we're going to replace it with something else here in a little bit. We do want to hire chieftains just to throw them in our army. Just start leveling them up. And they're pretty decent little fighters, too. Anti-large, all that stuff. Okay, I like... Okay, I like Tactician. And probably Confident. Extra leadership.
Need promotion.
Now, I don't think we want to hire an extra ward right now. We'll talk about loyalty next time. I think we're over time. It's only 62 extra. Maybe we do, just to go ahead and get this guy leveling up. Okay, they've changed this. Cunning used to be 15% ambush. Oh, 2 leadership is good, but poison attacks is really nice. We're not going to have a lot of poison units. That reduces the damage by, I think, 15%. So, we might just go ahead and hire this dude. Just so we'll have some magic if we want it on sieges, and we can just go ahead and start leveling him up. Get him some loyalty. Okay. So it could be a mistake. What did we get loyalty-wise? Okay, we got a 4. That's not bad. Okay, so we'll just summon up a bunch of stuff here. And we don't have a lot of powerhouse units. Just having a bunch of lords and heroes and stuff running around, it's probably going to help us out on these sieges. Okay. And then we've got growth. Holding on to that building. Not upgrading it probably, though. Okay. And then we don't want to upgrade this. We'll use our growth on the tier 3. Can't do any techs. Diplomacy. Clan Verms is getting shanked by these guys. Will they pay us anything?
Come before the clan and show display
Yeah. 900 gold. I mean, they're probably going to get eliminated. These dwarves are not going to like us anyways, let's be honest. Okay, we'll do that and a trade agreement. We'll hold on to this and see if we can get more money out of them next time. That's pretty nice. So even if they're going to get wiped, we're at least getting paid a little bit here. Worms, Necroarch Brotherhood, Exiles. Okay, so Silver Host, where are they? Right here. Alright. So we really don't want to go south to fight them. Our number one priority is just getting Carricate Peaks, which we'll talk about. We talked about it a little bit, but a little bit more next time. Basically, we just take all these old towns heading up to there and just try to take it out as soon as we can. Hopefully we'll have 220 stacks of something. Clan Rats, Slaves, something. And we'll just siege it up. Make it happen. Okay, we'll go ahead and I think we did everything we needed to do. Oh, we do have these rights. Let's talk about those next time. They don't unlock for a few turns. Now, that is going to cost us more food to have an extra lord laying around. So, we really want him off doing his own thing once we get him some units. But I think, I don't know, I could be wrong about it, but I think just getting him some experience, getting him some potential loyalty is probably a good thing. So we only got +1. We're getting close to getting this little extra bonus here, but okay, well, I got to get out of here. Extra long episode, so special thanks again to Konstantin for donating for this campaign. I really appreciate it. Should be an exciting one. Do a lot less talking, a lot more fighting next time. We'll come over here, try to complete this province, then we'll start working our way up here, and hopefully taking over a bunch of these towns. I don't know if Skaven owns this. Yeah, Skaven does own that. But yeah, we'll see. I haven't fought in Warhammer 3 on this side of the map very often. I did do a Khorne campaign. I don't remember if I did a full Beastman campaign. So I've looked at it a little bit. Just kind of seeing the new geography and the politics and how everything goes down over here. Should be pretty interesting. So that's it. Thanks. Have a good day. And we'll see you about next time.